What's up, YouTube? How you feel? It's show time. Hit me with that theme music. All right, welcome to Wolf King's Vids. I'm your host, the illustrious Adversary. Everybody, give it up. Okay, so just jumping into it real quick. What do we got? We have questions liberals can't answer by this Red Eyes TV. This chick, I have no idea like what her real name is. She's apparently into this race realist shit. So we're gonna get into that real quick. Let's deal with her difficult questions that she has for us. All right. Okay. There we go.
Hi, I'm Lana with Red Eyes. It's true, you just can't argue with a leftist. All the evidence on the planet won't be enough because they live in an alt universe. Liberals are very bad at debating because they never do it. Because they only talk to other self-affirming, emotional stroking liberals and have had zero opposition to challenge them. They are caught with their pants down at the most basic questions. But people like myself?
You could tell you're dealing with a very intelligently made video when the person starts poisoning the well. But just a little tip there. But let's go on with this this fucking alt-right video.
We're very comfortable arguing with opponents. We've had a lot of practice to sharpen our arguments, and we don't crumble when people call us bad words. We deal with outrageous, never seen before censorship, banning, discrimination, defamation, and we're still here. As we toughen up, they become even weaker. Here are questions liberals cannot answer. 1. Gotta start with this one. If you're so pro-mass non-European immigration, why do you live in a white neighborhood?
Okay, so why do I live in a white neighborhood? Well, I live in the Bay Area. I don't live in a white neighborhood. I live in a multiracial neighborhood. I have white neighbors, I have black neighbors, I have Latino neighbors, I have Arab neighbors. You know, it's a pretty diverse place. So yeah, I guess I answered that. Not very difficult.
They may say, well, this town has plenty of diversity. Yeah, down there, not where you live, up here. Why aren't you living in an immigrant refugee part of town? 2. What percentage of America can be white? 60%?
What percentage of America can be white? As much as needed, or as much as here now. I mean, I don't understand the question. Like, I mean, as much as we could support, I guess, I suppose.
40, 15, 2%? At what point is it acceptable? 3. At what point is it okay to have a border and immigration laws?
At what point is it okay to have an immigration border and border laws? I guess when you want people from different countries with different backgrounds and walks of life to come here, but you want to regulate that. So, you know, you have these things set in place to ensure that these people are accounted for, and there's a good process to distinguish people here legally from people who just sneak in. This is a point to support legal immigration because I'm all for that, you know. People paying taxes to be here if they want to go to school here or get work, but I mean, whatever.
4. What percentage of the population do whites have to be before it's morally acceptable for them to be proud of their ancestors, their heritage?
Oh my God, this bitch is so dumb. I don't know how many times I see that Ancestry.com commercial where you got people who based on their own testimony, that they say they have their conception of themselves being related to this one group of people, but they take the ancestry test, the DNA test, and they say that it turns out that they're actually German instead of Irish, or Italian instead of this, or British or whatever, and they're happy. They're happy to know their roots and stuff like that. No, like, no one's saying white people can be proud of their heritage. Who the fuck is saying that? All these freaking holidays celebrating like Euro culture, like freaking St. Patrick's Day and Oktoberfest and shit like that. You're telling me that white people can't be proud of their heritage? You're just talking out your ass.
At what point can they advocate for their people with unions, orgs, and lobbyists, just like every other group? 5. When is it okay for a white guy to say, I am a proud, straight, white male?
Pretty much any time. I'm pretty sure the majority of the population is gonna not give two fucks about your race or sexual orientation, like no one or gender. I mean, that really doesn't mean anything. I think absent of like a fucking dating site, this term isn't gonna really matter all that much in your day-to-day life. Kind of a dumb question.
When is it okay for them to be loud and proud? 6. What is so wrong when European women want to have white children who look like them? Instead of, ooh, your mixed race baby is so cute.
I'm pretty sure like you have like the freedom of choice in that regard. I mean, if you want to have kids who look like you, I mean, listen, if you want to find a guy and trap him in that regard and fucking, spit out a couple of kids, go ahead. I mean, you'd probably be a great future single mom, but I just think it's funny. One of the things is, back when interracial marriage was illegal, I mean, pretty much the only people with rights were rich white males. For the most part, I mean, women, aside from choosing who to fuck, I mean, that was pretty much the only thing they had. I mean, I'm pretty sure, but back in the day, men could rape their wives if they wanted to. I mean, it was only up until like the mid 1970s and early 1990s that was actually done away with. So, if anything, you have liberals to thank for you being able to have a voice and to be able to speak out and to vote and have property. And sorry, there's a fag in the background. But yeah, you've got liberalism to thank for your boost in society. You have us to thank for that progress. So yeah, there's that.
How about, ooh, your little blonde, blue-eyed baby is so adorable and unique. 7. For legal immigration alone, 1 million plus a year come to America.
How many non-European people need to be in the country before it's enough to say that's enough? I mean, I don't know, but to say that conservatives don't know about how immigration is out of control from their perspective, to say that that's not happening is just asinine. I mean, that happens all the time. I see pundits and people of the conservative opinion argue on TV all the time that the immigration thing is out of control. I mean, we have a president who that was most of his campaign. There are too many immigrants here. There are too many Muslims. We need to kick them all out, make America great again, all that shit. So I mean, apparently, like you want an ethno state in here, essentially. So apparently, more than one is too much. So.
America. That's like importing a large city every year. How many non-European people need to be in the country before it's okay to say that's enough? 8. You liberals claim to be environmentalists, and yet you are not aware of the horrible environmental consequences of mass migration, not to mention the problem of limited resources and an overburdened physical infrastructure.
I don't think liberals ignore the fact that these environmental issues are human-based. There are bigger factors than just migration at hand here, and to pin it on them specifically is kind of ridiculous. I mean, it's a global issue. Like, It's more than them. It's also like rich oil companies, like people like not people, entities like ExxonMobil, for example, um, entities like that that sort of suppress and also cause pollution, making that an issue. So yeah, I'm pretty sure liberals don't ignore that.
Yeah, it used to be common knowledge among you. But we have so much and we waste so much. So the solution is to import the entire third world so they too can have and waste much and enjoy a first world lifestyle. There used to be a time not long ago when lefties complained about overpopulation, when white people were having babies, that is. But now they love huge populations of non.
We love large populations. Actually, that's not true. I mean, yeah, we understand that. We understand that there are a lot of people and there are limited resources. We understand that. I mean, for the most part, um, like people on the left, like at least most liberals who are like rational in that case, argue for take myself for example. I advocate for birth control and sex ed, so we could have a limited population where I'm not saying I want Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet to come around and just wipe out half the population, but just make it lower so that you have less people suffering. You have people who can supply themselves with everything they need, from a good job to education to food and shit, and you don't have to worry about things like massive starvation or kids who are like wards of the state and shit like that among immigrants or whatever. Also, wait a minute, wait a minute. What did that bitch say earlier? What did that bitch say earlier?
White people were having babies, that is. But now they've learned about overpopulation, when white people were having babies, that is. But now,
when white people were having babies, bitch, eugenics was applied to black people earlier on, as well as disabled. So what the fuck are you on right now?
now they love huge populations of non-Europeans making 8 kids each. So, Libs, you A-okay with Muhammad up in Minnesota and his 8 wives and 25 kids living off of welfare paid for by mostly white people? Give them all your money then, stay out of mine. 9. Speaking of
yeah, most people who are on welfare are working or have relatives that are working. So, yeah, could you shut the fuck up? You don't know what you're talking about.
refugees, did you know there are people getting rich off the importing fake refugee business?
Are exploring the refugee crisis for profit. Not aware of that. That's pretty fucked up.
10. According to international law, refugees are supposed to go to the country nearest to them. So why isn't Israel and rich Gulf countries taking in any refugees? Why must they be flown at our expense way to Sweden, Australia, and North America?
Well, for the most part, those countries, they're not very fond of refugees, and they make that violently clear. Um, and for the most part, those countries that they are going to are more open to immigrants. They don't mind it. They have better resources for them, so that's sort of why they do it. Also, for seeking asylum.
11. About those refugees, do you even know how many are actually fleeing from catastrophic conditions and not just their own poverty? Like this much.
Okay, I don't know. I mean, I guess she took her fingers and dug him up her ass and just found out the statistics. But yeah, for the most part, those countries that she's talking about that are suffering catastrophic warfare and stuff like that, they're usually caused by us. I mean, with the catastrophic warfare in those countries, that creates the poverty, which is in turn caused by us. So they come around here as a result to escape that, and look for a better life, look for peace, a way to escape the violence, and probably get some money in their pockets. I mean, migration is pretty much the biggest killer of poverty. So, I mean, it helps benefits our economy by getting workers over here who benefit entrepreneurs, and they also send that money back to their home country. So it's pretty much a win-win.
I mean, come on, all those Mexicans seeking asylum. My white sister lives in Mexico. Plenty of space and
My white sister. Okay, I'm pretty sure she's near a resort or something.
options there. White liberals will say, well, it's okay if people are fleeing poverty. We have to give them a chance at a better life to become surgeons, inventors, and rocket scientists in European nations. Says who? Are you saying they can't do it without white people? That they need us to succeed? Well, what's wrong with their people? That's supremacist. 12.
Okay, okay. Let me just like smack this visual upside the head real quick with some logic. Okay, first off, couple things. From a human rights perspective, any human has the right to leave their country. All right, like like your little private bias doesn't mean shit to people who are trying to better themselves. So, and it's not because the country is European in nature. It's the fact that in this particular country in the West we have an abundant amount of resources. I mean, mainly because originally we took those guys' land, but that's uh that's besides the point. For the most part, it's them coming over to have a better life, to get better work. I mean, it's weird. Our companies can go down there and exploit the land for and the third world countries for the cheap labor and stuff like that. I mean, they can bring them over and use them, but if it's from the immigrants' perspective, who's just trying to get some cash in their pockets and reduce their destitute conditions, oh, that's just too much. Oh, that those are handouts. We just can't do it. Um, says who? You? I'm I'm sorry, sweetheart. Just because they were born outside the nation boundary does not mean you could treat them differently. I mean, that's just unethical as hell. All right, you don't get a freaking some kind of you don't get some kind of like I don't know like favoritism status by virtue of being a citizen. All right, that happened to have been born here. So you really need to get over yourself. Don't even know where the fuck you even get that idea from. I guess your own like weird retarded vanity.
people, why don't you go help them in their country? But you all never care to help European nations when they're in need. Why is that? Or are you saying they're never in need? And why is that?
Hold on. What was that question? Why don't you go help them in their country? Okay, because mainly, okay, well, one, that's not my job. I'm not a missionary. I'm not with the UN. I don't go out and help countries. I mean, I could donate money. I could do that shit. Um, I'm not gonna physically go there because I don't have the means or the resources to do that shit. But where do you get this idea that it comes that we're willing to help these third world countries but not European countries? Like, what the fuck? Like, that's the whole issue of a global economy. You form alliances and you help out countries when they're in need. I mean, I don't even get what the fuck she's even talking about. There's some weird like hypocrisy argument is retarded.
Or are you saying they're never in need? And why is that? 13. To all those filthy rich celebrities making anti white trash films, why aren't you taking in any refugees into your house surrounded by a wall in an upscale, gated community?
Because that's not their job either. I mean, it's. I mean, it's a weird retarded two quoque fallacy. Like, so because we're not personally taking care of these refugees ourselves, because we're not going to the specific areas that they're in and taking care of them, we're hypocritical on some level. It doesn't make sense. It just seems asinine.
14. Who Who made you the morality police, judging on your self-righteous high horse, pretending to be God, saying what is morally right and wrong? I will answer that one for you. No one. You have.
No, nobody declared me the morality police. I have no moral authority whatsoever, honestly. Um, I tell you this, I tell you this much. I am a person of the 21st century. I don't judge people based on their skin tone, man. What I judge people on are the contents of their heart, what's in their head. All right, I don't go by your tribalist notions. I think they're ass backwards. I think they're primitive, and I think they hold us back. So I think that's a good symbol for you because you are in fact a zero. I pity the dude who hooks up with you. Like he's probably gonna blow himself away in about a couple of years after he realizes the mistake he's made.
Zero moral authority. Remember, boys and girls, there is nothing wrong with Europeans loving and preferring European people and stopping the wave of mass immigration and fake refugees into their country. No.
Okay, I'm gonna say this. Yeah, I will agree with her. There's nothing wrong with being of European descent. There's nothing wrong with being white, and there's nothing wrong with being proud of your heritage. I think it's kind of dumb when you put that on like a pedestal in a sense. Oh, I'm white, I'm so special and all this shit. I think that's kind of dumb, in like a racial nationalist kind of sense, because there are no real genetic markers for race. There's no like it's not like some genetic biological thing. All right, it's just social in nature. But to take this whole racial pride and say that you can treat humans unfairly and try to separate yourself like on a national scale, like you're just talking nonsense. You're just not making sense. Now I know there are a few countries who have attempted to do this in some degree, in some way, in terms of having like an ethno state, like Israel, like Japan, like in this regard. For the large part, with Israel, I mean they're obviously suffering. They're obviously suffering problems with the conflict with Palestinians, obviously, and with Japan. They're sort of lacking in fertility for the most part. But yeah, with the United States, this whole idea with race realism, it's just, it's just not sticking. You can't listen if you want to argue about like how many legal immigrants you could take in and support, that's one thing. You cannot declare that you could treat someone else differently just because they were born outside of the national boundary. I mean, first off, everyone here, absent of being African American or fucking Native American, is a descendant of an immigrant. Okay, there are parts of this land who've been stolen by like settlers hundreds of years ago. So the idea that you could just declare, oh, my whiteness, my white people, and restrict people to the point that you could declare it to be an official ethno state. I mean, you're just talking nonsense. There's no way in hell you'll be able to support that. And here's the thing. I mean, we have examples of people trying to do this, at least within small groups. The Mormons, for example, wanted to keep themselves restricted in a racially sort of way, not including black folks in there, and trying to stick close to the family, like have like a tribalistic notion about themselves. They're suffering genetic issues. Yeah, inbreeding. Amish, same thing, and those Arab tribes out there, same thing as well. I mean, these are just fun facts. This is just data, but I guess that doesn't matter at the end of the day with these race realists. But that's all I got to say about this. These people just disgust me. The fact that they could just have that weird tribalist notion about humans and judging them based on their appearance, rather what they can do and what they bring to the table in the public sphere in this country. It's really just sickening. I mean, absent of arguing the legality, absent of arguing the pros and cons, and not these like private biases, but with publicly verifiable evidence. That's how you're actually going to solve the immigration issue. That's how you're actually going to do it. If they want to come here and go to school or get a job here or do something to better themselves, that should be done. Not based on whether they're white, black, Asian, Hispanic, or anything, or purple, alien, whatever the fuck. What matters is the contents of their heart and their mind, not their skin tone. But that's all I gotta say about this. That's my 2 cents. This has been Wolf King. Peace out. If you like this video, you know what to do. Stop by there to know. And hail Satan. I'm out. Peace.